Well, hello everyone. I'm hoping that I'm now live on both Facebook and YouTube. It's the first time I've tried to go live on both platforms. So if you can let me know, if you can just let me know that everything is okay, send me a wee comment telling me that you're hearing me. Elsa, excellent. Seeing you. Thanks very much for coming along. Welcome to our Gaelic Psalm Singing Workshop, Volume 2. And I'll just hold on for a wee while till it's 9 o'clock so that people can sort of join us. Are you hearing me okay, Elsa? Is it nice and clear? Sound okay? You can let me know as we go along because I'm going to be playing some examples of music as well, so you can let me know how things are. William, Dimon How, Harage, John, Akiva, Rona Gallagher, Elsa, Jenny, evening Jenny, John, Grimaldi, Faljorst from New York City. Good to see you all. So it's really exciting for me to be able to once again bring you hopefully a series of workshops for Gaelic psalm singing. And I think the whole idea of this is I want to make sure that people don't feel as if you need to be fluent in Gaelic to be able to understand it. The Gaelic part of it is not going to be the problem. The thing that's going to take the time is the musicality of learning how to actually do it and understanding it. So I'm wanting you to drive things for me and send me messages. Now, I've already had a few messages from the first workshop that I did, which was probably a wee bit long. It was over an hour long. The intention really here is to give you, hopefully, sort of bite-sized chunks of maybe half an hour or so, just for people to digest it. And we'll really go through it slowly. I'll be going back over some of the stuff that I covered on the first workshop. We'll still focus on Kilmarnock and a couple of questions that have been sent to me. One of them, which intrigues a lot of people, is the grace notes that are used round the main melody line. Are they the same for all tunes? Kenny sent me a question on that. And basically, the grace notes are different on all the tunes. In fact, the grace notes are different for each individual person, let alone the tunes. So the way that I would decorate the main melody with my grace notes would be different from anyone else. And that's what makes Gaelic psalm singing so special. It's nothing to do with how great you are as a singer. It's the mixture of all the voices that make it so special. If all the voices were great voices, it would be like a choir. And we're not talking about a choir, we're talking about a congregation. I think that's the big attraction for Gaelic psalm singing, was that on Sunday, everyone would go together into the church and you didn't feel when you were singing that you would be pointed out or anything like that. You felt comfortable that you were able to, in church, sing. Whether your voice was great or not, it was from the heart that you were singing. And I mentioned it on the first workshop that I did. There are two things going on. There's the vertical and there's the horizontal. And the vertical is you're singing between you and God in the church. And whenever you're doing it, you know the main tune, you know the melody, you know that is Kilmarnock, and then you are free because it's moving so slowly to put your own grace notes as you're moved, as you're singing the words, and then you're aware that horizontally round about you, everyone else is doing it. So my prayer really for this whole workshop is that people that maybe were intrigued by Gaelic psalm singing and thought that it was beyond their understanding and that they wouldn't be able to pick it up, I'm hoping that the language is not going to be a barrier. And I want to make clear that the language is definitely not a barrier to us here. We're going to move right from the beginning and from the basics, because even though there are loads of people that were brought up with it and is part of them, and we think it's quite a simple system, but in application it's really complicated after, you know, what all the individual people do when they all get together. So last week I spoke about that we use one meter. It's called common meter. All the Gaelic tunes are just the 1 meter. In English psalmody, you've got loads of different meters: common meter, short meter, all the other different meters. Gaelic psalm singing uses 1 meter, so that makes things a bit easy. And the common meter is what we call 8-6-8-6. So 8-6-8-6 is the syllable. So if, for example, we're talking about 8, and let's just use an example. The Lord's my shepherd, I'll not want. 8, he makes me down to lie. 6, in pastures green he leadeth me. 8, the quiet waters by. 8-6-8-6, common meter, and all the tunes will work. The psalms are laid out in that way so that we could actually, if we really wanted to, we could actually use the same verses for all the tunes that we're going to hopefully work on over the next weeks and the Lord spares us months. So we're going to start off with Kilmarnock, which is one of my own favourite tunes, I have to say. So what I'm going to do really at the start is we're going to go back to the melody. Now this is the melody here, and what we're going to do is I want to go over, those of you, probably quite a lot of you will know the tune Kilmarnock. So this is a tune, and what Gaelic does is it decorates each note. So let us just go over just now. What I'm going to do is I'm going to play it, and I'm going to sort of point out, most of you probably know this anyway. Okay, so what you've got there is the basic melody of Kilmarnock. And what we do is we slow it down. Now, the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to use the same tune, but I'm going to actually have a recording of it being done. Let's see, we'll just go for a recording from maybe 1969. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to actually follow as close as I can to give you an idea where the arrow will come, roughly where we're talking about these notes working out. So listen to this. Center, line 3. Congregation repeats. Center, line 4. Congregation repeats. Okay, so what we've got there is that's the basic melody of Kilmarnock. And it's a congregation from 1969 singing it. So, like I explained last week, the first two lines are sung together as a congregation. The tune is established by the end of the second line, and the third line is presented, congregation repeats it, fourth line, presented, congregation repeats it, and that's the end of the first stanza or the first verse. So that's your 8-6-8-6 done. Then you repeat it again, line 1, verse 2 or stanza 2, presenter, congregation repeating, and so on. And for how many verses? Sometimes it's 2 verses, sometimes it's 3, sometimes it's 4. It all really depends. So I'm wanting to try, I think you have to be able to get the tune pretty much in your head, the basic tune. And then once you've got the tune in your head, what we'll do then is we're then going to start going through line by line, or maybe even just 4 notes of each line, 4 or 5 notes, and slowing it down. And I will then start introducing the grace notes to it. Now, for example, if we were going to do Kilmarnock's such a lovely tune that it can be done as a choir. It can be done in 4-part harmony. It can be sung in Gaelic along with an instrument. Now, I'm just going to sing just to give you a wee idea. So what I'm doing just now, along with the guitar, is I'm going to do it almost like a wee bit of grace notes in it. So we've got the tune. Da, 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 da. So we've got the tune. So that's da, 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 da. If we're going to do it in Gaelic, it would be then the presenting. Line 3. Now, that was just really done as a guide. Gaelic psalm singing doesn't have any accompaniment, like instruments or anything like that in it. It doesn't really need it. It's the voices that make it what it is. So, let's see how we're getting on. So many messages coming through, and I'll probably have to go over them again and see if anyone has got any questions, because I'm wanting this to be really driven by yourselves. What do you find difficult to understand? If there is anything, let me know what I can do to make it simpler. If you're finding it a bit harder, hard to really understand. And so let's go back to Kilmarnock again. So what we're going to do is, I'm just going to end up doing the way that we slow it right down. So if we were going to be doing Kilmarnock, we do it. Let me just pitch myself so that I forgot it. And again, really, when it comes to Gaelic psalming, you don't really have a pitch. You just got to go over it. So, Dochyd mi ro y mawn sgach cwsh, So that's the music. Here we have the Gaelic, and we've got two Gaelics here. We've got the Scottish Gaelic and we've got the Irish Gaelic, which are just basically the same. Da chud, so da chud mi ro maun skach kush. Back to the music. Song one. Okay, so let's go back here to this one here. So we've got the words there. Now let me just sing the words. Da chud mi ro maun skach kush. Okay, that's still too fast. You can still conduct that like a choir, so we slow it right down. Da chud mi ro maun skach kush. Da chud mi ro maun skach kush. The non-Gaelic speakers, la, 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 la. So the ones that have Gaelic, they can sing the Gaelic words. The ones that don't have Gaelic at all, we're going through the musicality of it at the moment. So we're now going to slow it to the point where I'm going to start introducing the grace notes that come naturally to me on this particular tune. So let me sing it in the Gaelic. Da chud mi ro maun skach kush. So that's the first line. Okay, now people ask, what about taking breaths? If you're in a choir, you have to take breaths at the same time. You take a breath whenever you want, because Gaelic psalm singing, there's so many people in the congregation. And the other thing about Gaelic psalm singing is, from the start, there is no silence. The presenter will present his line, and the congregation will come in over the presenter's line, and then when the congregation is coming to the end of the line, the presenter will start over it, so that there's no gap at all. So let's go through it again. Da chud mi ro maun skach kush. I'm going to carry on. So that has come from da 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 da. Gaelic. Da chud mi ro maun skach kush. So that's the sort of speed that you sing it at. And the thing about it is each congregation, way back in the 60s and even before then, they would be unique to their own congregation. They might be a bit slower in certain parts. Let's say in Point, they might be singing Kilmarnock a bit slower than they would over in Carloway or in Ness. Okay, but it's all slow. It's all slow. So let me now go back to a recording from 1957 of Kilmarnock. And this is really, really slow. And again, I'll try and follow the notes, because what I'm wanting you to really try and get in your head is the main tune, the signpost notes that are being arrived at different times by different people, because the grace notes are different. So what I'm actually doing is an approximation of where most of the people are arriving at these notes. Okay, so what we're doing here is we're doing the first two lines before the presenter starts. So the presenter starts it off, and then halfway through the first line, the congregation will start recognizing the tune and they will join in. Some people can join in right at the start. They'll recognize the tune straight away. So let's do this with an old recording from Carloway. I think I played this last week. Presenter now. Congregation now sings it, repeats it. Sorry. Okay then, so that's it. There's a comment here. Where did I see? I saw a comment here about it's hard to take it, to sing it all without taking a breath. Well, that's what I mentioned earlier on. when you're singing as a congregation, you can take the breath whenever you want to, because there's so many people taking breaths at different times, but the overall sound is still there. If you were doing this as a solo, when I was doing it earlier on, you could see that I was struggling to get a complete line in. We can talk about this later on when we talk about the presenter and what the presenter has to do. And one of the things that the presenter does is just before the congregation is coming to the end of a line, the presenter will make sure that he takes a breath in so that he is able to take and present a complete line without taking a breath. So that's really the only place that is really important, to be able to sing the line completely all the way through. Now, is there any other questions? Where can we find the text of the Psalms? Well, the texts are, John Grimaldi has asked, where can you get the text? Well, the texts are all in the Gaelic Bible. And they're all in the metrical Gaelic Psalms. Here we are. Where have we gone? They're all there. So basically all this is just been taken straight out of the Gaelic Psalm book. And we've got the Irish equivalent here as well, taken from the MacLeod Bible in Irish Gaelic. And you can see how close the Irish Gaelic is, or the Irish Gaelic is, to the Scottish Gaelic. So people that speak Irish Gaelic should have no problem whatsoever singing the Psalms exactly the way that we sing it. It's the same language, and basically what we have is we've got Psalm books that have all the Psalms in Gaelic in this particular meter. And like I mentioned earlier on, we could actually do all the tunes that I'm going to do, however long this goes on for. People have got their favourites. There are about 22 odd tunes that are in common use. Well, not common use, but are in use. And we could just go through them all if we have the time. But I think it's really important for us right at the start to learn it really slowly. To learn it really, really slowly. Nolan, Brinlage, yeah, Salam Gaivi, Gaelic Metrical Psalmody, there's a link put up for that. And I'm wanting to really encourage anyone that's got an interest in Gaelic psalm singing to try and learn what essentially is a unique singing style that is totally unique to the Hebrides of Scotland. Once upon a time, years and years ago, it was sung throughout the whole of Scotland. And I posed a question last week for the historians, and maybe one of these programs will have someone on that can maybe tell us where the system that we have at the moment originated, because we think that Gaelic psalm singing originated around the 17th century. It couldn't have probably happened until after the Synod of Argyll in about 1650 or around that time. But way back in those days, it was 6 tunes. They were called the long tunes, and they were sung very, very differently from the way that we sing them now. But anyway, the system that we've got at the moment, that's a system that we all know. And we don't really have any recordings of the old system of how Gaelic psalm singing was originally done. So let's carry on. I'm wanting to make sure that as a start that we've got this style down, and that people in the comfort and the privacy of their own home will actually sing along with me and add. Kate Graham, will you do the tune Caroline at some point? Well, Caroline is not a tune that's used in Gaelic. I'm going to really stick to the tunes that are known in Gaelic. I'm sure it could be adapted probably. If it's a common meter tune, it could be done. A lot of people wonder, for example, about the Bass O'Harris. Could that be done in Gaelic? I'm quite sure it could be. But I think really at the moment what we're wanting to do is to get people to learn the system. Some people have got a huge interest in this, and I'm wanting to just make sure that people are given an opportunity to understand the musicality of what makes this so special. why it doesn't need any instrumentation. It is a vocal, tradition. And even though people have done it, including myself, where we've done settings of the Psalms using instruments, ultimately you cannot beat the voice, because it's the individual voices that are going to end up making this unique, and the individual way that people sing the grace notes. I would find it even hard to actually put different grace notes in, because I'm so used to singing this, and someone, hopefully, I'll be able to take someone in on one of the workshops along with me, so that the two of us could maybe sing together, and then you could maybe hear the difference between one person and another person, the way they do the grace notes. Okay, so let's carry on. I want you to sing along with me here, and we'll just do the first line, and you can either la it, or you can sing the words. Doch uth mi roam aun's gach kuj, and she on more ngna. Okay, now we'll go over the words later on, but let's just do this. Doch uth mi roam aun's gach kuj. Now I never managed to do the whole line. I took a breath in there about towards the end. Again. Doch mi roam aun's gach kuj. Okay, now by this time, I'm hoping that you will have learned the tune, so that I don't have to actually just keep putting the music of the tune up. Because once you've got the tune in your head, then it's a matter of those of you who can sing the words, sing along, and those of you who can't quite get a grasp on the Gaelic, I'm going to just speak through this very slowly, probably at the pace. Doch mi roam aun's gach kuj, and she on more ngna. Right, let me sing it. Doch mi roam aun's gach kuj, and he on more ngna. Okay, once more. Doch mi roam aun's gach kuj, and he on more ngna. Okay then, so I think that's probably enough for tonight, because I think we've got to take this very slowly. There are plenty probably that are watching it tonight. We've got over 100 people watching at the moment, which is really great. And if you would consider letting people know who might not be Facebook followers, but might be okay going onto YouTube, because hopefully this will go out on both YouTube and Facebook. And if you would consider subscribing on my YouTube channel, that would be really great so that we can improve the channel. And hopefully, as we progress, that's us doing the first 2 lines. So just to recap, the presenter starts singing. Halfway through the first line, the congregation joins in, because the tradition was that no one really knew what the tune was until, first of all, the minister read the whichever psalm it was. The presenter would then have to think, well, what tune would suit this particular verses? And then he would make his decision, and then at the end of the minister reading 5 or 6 verses, he would say, we're now going to sing 4 verses, 4 stanzas from verse 12 or whatever, and he would repeat the first 2 lines. And that's a throwback to the times when people couldn't read, and they would have to memorize the first 2 lines. And then from line 3 onwards, the presenter sings very clearly, and you listen to the words. Nowadays, everyone's got Bibles. The other thing that someone had actually mentioned to me about was, what does the presenter sing? Does the presenter sing what the congregation repeats? No, it's very close to it. But what happened over the years, people developed their own style, and a different presenter would alter it exactly the same as the people that add their grace notes to it. The presenters would also put they would put their own particular stamp on it. Okay, Marion's asking what the YouTube channel is. Yeah, if you go onto the YouTube channel with Lame Music, you should find it there. In fact, have I actually got Lame Music? You should be able to find it there on Lame, L-E-U-M Music. So if you go onto YouTube, you should be able to find it there. So in the future, hopefully if things go well, I'm going to do Kilmarnock and I'm going to do Martyrdom. Because Martyrdom is a tune that a lot of people like. But there's loads of other tunes that people like: Moravia, Stornoway, Torwood, Coleshill, and they're all taken. So we'll still do the same process. We'll learn the basic melody, and then we will learn how to actually do it. So for example, let's say, for example, we're going to do Moravia. You learn the tune Moravia. Moravia would go da 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 da. So you would learn that. Da 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 da. Gaelic would go da 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 da. Okay. No, that was wrong. I was actually wrong there. Moravia is da 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 da. So we'll do the same thing. We'll learn the basic tune, and then we'll learn how people do these various tunes. Martyrdom, Stornoway, Torwood, and Coleshill. And we'll take it from there. So please send me any messages that you have, any questions that you have, anything that you find really hard to understand. But hopefully after 2 or 3 weeks, you will understand the system. And once you understand the system, then it's a matter of learning how to actually do it. And I'm not really sure at the moment how we could end up getting a lot of you to actually sing. Maybe what we could do is for people to actually record themselves singing in their own homes to me singing. And then we could put it all together, maybe have 20 or 30 people singing together. And I could probably put it all together here, and we could have a COVID congregation. I think that would be, but we'll just see how it goes. So thanks so much for joining me. Tell your friends, anyone that you think might be interested in learning about this unique singing style that we have. And I'll see you again next week, the same time, Tuesday evening, 9 p.m. here in the UK. And thanks very much for joining me, especially those from over across the pond in New York and further afield. And please send me messages if you're wanting anything particular, or if there's anything that you don't really understand, or I can try and make it clear, because I want this to be driven by yourselves, so that you will get the most benefit out of it. And we want to try and see if we can preserve this precious heritage that some of us were brought up with, and we do not want it to go, although it's in real danger of disappearing. But maybe this might be a way of encouraging people to keep it going. So, Hula Bianach, and we'll see you a week tonight at 9 p.m. Bye.